Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Ms. Skokin. We're back in chapter 3 with proving lines parallel in section 3-3 this time. Now what we've been doing is we've been looking at postulates and theorems that allow us to prove when we have lines cut by a transversal, or parallel lines cut by a transversal, I should say, certain angle relationships are created. Some of them are going to be congruent angles and some of them are going to be supplementary angles. This time what we're doing is we're reversing all of that around and we're trying to prove the lines are parallel using the angle relationships. So if we know that two lines are cut by a transversal and their alternate interior angles are congruent, for example, then we know that the lines that the transversal cut through must be parallel to create that congruency. Okay. We have the objective of use the angles formed by a transversal to prove two lines are parallel. I just gave you a little bit of the introduction to that. You can see we have a pretty extensive vocabulary. In general, they all start with the word converse because we're going to be looking at converse statements. Now, just a reminder, when we learned about conditional statements, we learned that they come in the form of a conditional statement, meaning an if-then statement. And they're always in the same format: if, and then state the hypotheses, then, and we state the conclusion. In a converse statement, what we're doing is we're reversing the conclusion and the hypothesis. And we learn that these statements, these converse statements, are not always true. However, that's what a converse statement is. We reverse the hypothesis and the conclusion. So what I'd like for you to do is pause the video now, work on these warm-up questions where all you're doing is creating the converse of each of those statements. Turn the video back on when you're ready to check your answers. Here are the answers for the 3 warm-up questions, and we have a statement that says the converse of a theorem is when, and of course the answer is when we reverse the hypothesis and conclusion. We also have the reminder of what I told you a little while ago, that the converse of a theorem is not automatically true. You may remember from section 2 in this chapter, the corresponding angles postulate that said, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the pairs of corresponding angles are congruent. When we look at the converse of the corresponding angles postulate, remember the if and then are reversed. This is saying that if two coplanar lines are cut by a transversal so that the corresponding angles are congruent, then we are able to conclude that the two lines must be parallel. And this is what we're going to be using on example number 1 on the next page. Example 1, using the converse of the corresponding angles postulate. We want to use the converse of the corresponding angles postulate and the given information to show that line L is parallel to line, is parallel to line M. Our first statement in A says angle 4 is congruent to angle 8. So we mark angle 4 and angle 8, and the statement says they're congruent. We can see that they are corresponding. So we're going to jot that down. Knowing that they are corresponding angles and knowing that they are congruent angles allows us to say that line L is parallel to line M because we just read all about the converse of the corresponding angles postulate that said that we are allowed to conclude that two lines are parallel if their corresponding angles are congruent. All right, on the next question, we are talking about angles 3 and 7, and we can see that angles 3 and 7 are also corresponding. So we've written down that information. We see that for the measure of angle 3 and the measure of angle 7, we have expressions given to us. We're also, those expressions include s, and we're also given a value for x. So we're going to plug in the value. We know that the measure of angle 3 is equal to 4 times x, which is 30, minus 80, giving us 120 minus 80, and we can say that the measure of angle 3 is equal to 40 degrees. We're going to do the same thing for the measure of angle 7, and we end up with 40 degrees again. This means that the measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of angle 7, and that means that angle 3 is congruent to angle 7. And now we have satisfied the requirements for the converse of the corresponding angles postulate, so we can conclude that line L is parallel to line M. So let's write our final answer. We can see how this logic works. We have to satisfy the conditions for the conditional statement before we're allowed to make a conclusion, the same conclusion that's in the conditional statement. And you've got a now you try here, so turn the video off, work on this, and turn the video back on when you're ready to check your answers. Hopefully you were successful with questions A and B, and if you have some questions, please make sure to make a note of it in your notes and then bring it up in class. Let's take a look at the parallel postulate. It says through any point P not on line L, there's exactly one line parallel to L. So let's make a line L. There's my line L. And we're going to make a point P. Now we know if we have a line that is parallel to L, it's going to have the same slope as L. And what this is saying is there is only one line that is both parallel to line L, meaning it has the same slope, and goes through point P. Okay, let's take a look at our next set of theorems. Here we've got 3 new theorems to take a look at, and the first one says, converse of the alternate interior angles theorem. If 2 coplanar lines are cut by a transversal so that a pair of alternate interior angles are congruent, then the 2 lines are parallel. So once again, we have that if-then conditional statement. This time it says, if we have alternate interior angles that are congruent, we know that the 2 lines that the transversal cuts through must be parallel. And we have a similar relationship in the subsequent theorems. If we end up having alternate exterior angles congruent when a transversal goes through 2 lines, then we know that those 2 lines have to be parallel. Likewise, with the converse of the same side interior angles theorem, if we have 2 same side interior angles that end up being supplementary, then we know that the lines needed to be parallel, had to be parallel. So let's take a look at how to use these. So we're going to go on to example 2, and we have a diagram for example 2. We're going to start out by shading angles 4 and 8. 4 and 8, and we want to prove that lines R and S are parallel. Well, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a note of the relationship between these angles, and they are alternate exterior angles. We were given the information that these lines are congruent, so we can go ahead and conclude that line R is parallel to line S because of the converse of the alternate exterior angles theorem. We have proven that those lines are parallel to one another. Now we're going to take a look at question B. We have the measure of angle 2, and we have another expression for the measure of angle 3, and we were given a value to plug in, x is equal to 5. So these 2 are same side interior angles. Let's make a note of that. Remember that same side interior angles are also known as consecutive angles. Let's go ahead and plug in the value for x that was given to us. For the measure of angle 2, we end up with 58 degrees. We're going to plug in for the measure of angle 3 also, and we end up with 125 minus 3, or 122 degrees. The next thing that we need to do, of course, is see if we add together these 2 angle measurements, do we get 180 degrees? So let's substitute in 58 degrees plus 122 degrees, in fact, does equal 180 degrees. So we know that these 2 are supplementary. We already knew that they were also same side interior angles, so we have met the hypothesis requirements, and we conclude that line R is parallel to line S because of the converse of the same side interior angles theorem. We've got a now you try on the next page for you to work on, where you can practice using these three theorems. I'm going to recommend that you pause the video and turn it back on when you're ready to check your answers on the now you try questions. These closely follow the model of the questions that we did together, so hopefully you had success on these. Let's take a look at example number 3. Here we're doing a formal geometric proof, and we're going to start out with this diagram and the information that has been given to us that says line P is parallel to line R, and angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Our goal is to prove that line L is parallel to line M. So let's get started. Line P is parallel to line R was something that was given to us. Now, one of the things that we can say is if we just look at lines P and R, which we know are parallel to one another, and the transversal M, we can see that angles 2 and 3 are alternate exterior angles. We know because our transversal goes through parallel P and R that they are also congruent. So that's our justification. The next statement that we're going to write is that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. And you may remember that that was given to us. So we're going to write given for our reason or justification. Now, we know that angles 1, 2, and 3 are all congruent to one another because of the transitive property of congruence. So that means we can write the statement angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Now, if angles 1 and 2 are congruent to one another, we can see that those are corresponding angles with the transversal P going through them. So that means that we're ready to conclude that line L and line M are parallel to one another because of the converse of the corresponding angles postulate. These are not always intuitive, and of course in the old days you had to write all of the statements and all of the reasons yourself, which made you kind of scratch your head a little bit as you were trying to figure it out. We have practice on the next page, which is a now you try using the vertical angles theorem. So let's pause the video, you work on this, and turn it back on when you're ready to check your answers. This brings us to the last example in this section, and it's a real-world example. So we're going to take a look at this where we are trying to prove that the two pieces of wood, piece A and piece B, are parallel because the carpenter wants these two pieces to be parallel for the specific woodwork pattern. We have been given expressions for the measure of angles 1 and 2, and we have a value to plug in for x. Let's start by writing down the relationship between these two angles 1 and 2, and we can see that they are same side interior angles. We know that we have the converse of the same side interior angles theorem that will allow us to prove that the piece A and piece B pieces of wood are parallel if, in fact, we can show that angles 1 and 2 are supplementary. So the next step is for us to plug in the value of x that was given to us into these expressions for the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2. Measure of angle 1 is equal to 8 times x, which we know is 15, plus 20. 8 times 15 is 120, plus 20 gives us 140 degrees for the measure of angle 1. Measure of angle 2 is 2 times 15 plus 10, so that's 30 plus 10, or 40 degrees. The next thing that we need to do is see if the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 are, in fact, supplementary. Do they add up to 180 degrees? So we're going to plug in, and they do, in fact, end up totaling 180 degrees. So Not only are they same side interior angles, but they are also supplementary. And that means that we can conclude that piece A is parallel to piece B because of the converse of the same side interior angles theorem. That is the last example that we're going to go through in this section, and that brings you to your homework problems. So good luck on those practice problems, and remember to bring any questions you have to class.